SRO Magazine, your number one source for music and entertainment news and interviews. SRO.
Hello, SRO Nation. This is your metal journalist, Brandon B. Mack, coming to you with another great interview lined up. You've known him for co-hosting a really cool talk show called That Metal Show, and he's also a very successful comedian. He's right now promoting his latest hilarious release, Hell-Bent on Laughter. So please help me welcome the master of the sideburns, no offense, Hugh Jackman, Mr. Don Jamieson. Hey, Don.
Thank you. What an introduction. I don't know if I can follow that, but the sideburns are in full form, even in the off season. I don't want people to think I only color them in for the TV show. They are as dumb and ridiculous when I'm not taping the show as when I am. So.
Well, hey, they're very cool sideburns. I kind of wish I can grow them like that. Unfortunately, when I grow them out, they look like little cattails for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know. These things have a mind of their own, but I mean, they always say you should have a look, and I'm not sure what kind of look this is, but nevertheless, people know me from the sideburns, so we're gonna hold on to them for a little while. Well,
yeah, you should. It is your trademark.
Yeah, I guess kind of. I mean, people don't know me from comedy or from the metal scene, but they know they know my facial hair well, so that's good. But yeah, it's all good, man. Just living the life, man.
Yep. For those listening to this or that are going to be listening to this interview, Don and I actually known each other. We've actually met a few times. Our first meeting was when the taping of That Metal Show when Alice Cooper and Jack Russell of Ray White came by, and you and I actually got to talk for a little bit.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to see Alice Cooper coming through with the Motley Boys in Jersey. That's coming up at the end of this month, so I'm excited about that. And what a great honor! I've actually been able to go on Alice's radio show, and he's actually played some tracks from my new comedy album on there. So it's so crazy, man. Like these guys are your heroes and everything growing up, and then now you're interviewing them, and then they're supporting you, and you're supporting them, and man, this is like, how did I get here, man? I'm just a hyper kid from Jersey who never changed his mind about music in all the years, and here I am in my mid-40s, and I still love Alice Cooper and Motorhead and Judas Priest and AC/DC, and I will till the day I die.
Exactly, and you actually did an interview with me one time when I did a radio show in college a couple years ago. So it's really cool to to catch up after 2 years and do a follow up and see what's going on with you.
Well, hey, in the same breath, I say thank you to people like you too who have supported as well, and not just the Alice Coopers and big names like that. Because at the end of the day, man, that's what we're all doing. We're all supporting the metal scene, and that's what's important. And hopefully, I know our TV show has inspired a lot of people to start up their own thing, man, and that's so cool, man, because it's just about keeping this music alive, whether you like classic metal or death metal or experimental metal or math metal or whatever you're into. There's room to go around, and all that music needs our support. So kudos to you too, brother.
Well, thank you very much. That's really nice of you to say. Hell-Bent for Laughter. That is your follow-up to your last classic comedy, Live and Hilarious. Tell us a little bit about that, because last time we talked, we were talking about Live and Hilarious, and you had a live audience for your comedy show, and I was wondering, did you follow through with the same thing for this one?
Yeah, well, what I like to do, because I'm a comedian and I'm self-destructive, is I like to, when I'm recording an album, I like to throw something, unexpected into the mix. As if doing stand-up comedy, isn't hard enough and recording an album. So, on my last one, I actually did it in a rock club, and I literally taped one show live. So, that's as live as it gets. It's not Kiss Alive 1 or 2 where everything's re-recorded in the studio. These albums are as live as it gets. And on the second one, I did this comedy club in Jersey where it's BYOB. They don't have a liquor license, so you would think like, oh, these crowds are dead, because they're not drinking. But it's not true. They drink 10 10 times more than a regular comedy club audience because there's no drink minimum, so people are literally wheeling in like coffin-sized coolers full of beer and like gallon, jugs of vodka, and the crowd gets really rowdy. So like I have all that, that kind of atmosphere on my album. So it sometimes becomes more of a rally than a comedy show. But I wanted to make the audience sort of, not just, a character. I want them to be a character on the album, not just a room full of people laughing.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I've actually seen you live over at Long Beach with Jim Florentine and Jim Shubley, and I remember the crowd just going crazy over you. So you really know how to connect with an audience. Did you always knew that you wanted to be a comedian?
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. And, I was a class clown in school and stuff, and but I got into it a little later in life, but it was just, I saw, Florentine was doing it a few years ahead of me, and, I used to go to him with him to gigs, and back then he was playing like strip clubs and stuff like that. So that's originally why I wanted to get into it. I'm like, well, I could come up with a few minutes of material and play at strip clubs and hang out with strippers and other deviants, and that seemed like a good idea at the time. And then over the years you actually start to get kind of good at it, and then you take it seriously. And here I am 18 years later, and I got 2 albums out on Metal Blade, which is another, pinch me moment for me. Like, how did a comedian get on Metal Blade Records? So, but I bring that kind of, hardcore heavy metal attitude to my comedy. I really, like to, if I'm going to be on Metal Blade, I really got to bring it live on stage and, in the clubs or wherever I'm playing. I got to keep, Metal Blade has Cannibal Corpse, King Diamond, they were the home of Slayer for many years, so, I got to live up to that sort of reputation.
Yeah, Metal Blade Records is a really cool label. Not only do they represent you, they represent your acoustic comedy rock group, Gunfire and Sodomy. What's going on with those guys? What's going on with that?
Yeah, well, no, we're just taking a little bit of a break right now because one of the members is incarcerated and the other one caught an STD. And so they're both down for a little while. So we took a little break so I could record my comedy album. But we're hoping to don the masks again soon and get back out there and do a full length. But it's very disturbing. You have to get into a weird headspace for that.
That's amazing. Acoustic death metal group. Why don't you tell us?
Nobody ever asked for that. Nobody ever did that. And when you hear it, you might. This is probably a reason why, but it's just another cool creative outlet for me to just get some of the rage out. Do you play
a guitar in there, or are you just the vocalist?
I'm just a screamer. Yeah. So we just have one acoustic guitar and drummer, and then 2 screamers, and it's basically a band, so that like serial killers can have a favorite group too.
Well, I'm pretty sure Charles Manson always tries to get your albums whenever he has the chance to purchase them from prison.
Well, I hope he uses one of our songs as his wedding song, because I heard he was getting married. So I'm very happy for him if he wants to use one of our tunes. That would be tragically appropriate.
Yeah, because he is marrying a babe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, you guys did, when you did Live and Hilarious, you and Jim were asked to do comedy for Metallica's first ever Orion Music Festival. Tell me what the atmosphere was like for that. That was like, I wasn't there for that because I'm from the West Coast, so I didn't have a chance to travel back east to see it, but you guys were up there playing with Avenged Sevenfold and Eric Church, which was a very odd choice. Tell me what it was like up there.
Well, yeah, I think that, I love the diversity of the festival, I know a lot of people, thought it was just a little all over the place, but if you were actually there, it was great because you could come and see the comedians, or you could take a break and go see a brilliant guitar player like Eric Church, but it's not necessarily metal, but, you got metal all day, so sometimes you need a break, so that was cool, and they, they had some sort of alternative bands on there, and then, of course, Metallica did their thing, so, I thought the whole concept was really cool. Obviously, it was an honor to be a part of it. I'll tell you a funny story. So, Yeah, I performed at the Comedy Tent on Saturday, and also Jim Florentine, and I mean, it couldn't have been more packed out. I mean, everybody was in the Comedy Tent, and they stayed the whole time. It was such an amazing moment. Probably 4,000 or 5,000 metalheads, standing there laughing and cheering. Lars came down and introduced me. Hetfield came in about halfway through my set, and I watched him on the side of the stage cracking up. And I came off stage, and a guy picked me up in a golf cart, and I went and got paid, and everything was just so organized and killer and cool, and the response was great. That was a Saturday. On the following Thursday, I played a pizza place in North Jersey.
That's a big step.
No lie, like a literal pizza place. So I went from Lars and James from Metallica, hanging out with me while I'm doing comedy in front of thousands of Metallica fans, to some guy named Vinny cooking garlic knots behind me, telling me not to back up because the oven was hot, in front of 40 people in a pizza place. So that's, for people who want to get into comedy, that's show business right there.
Oh, yeah. That's a big step, going from playing a pizza parlor to playing for literally hundreds of thousands gathered in the East Coast to see one of the best metal bands of all time, and to see you give their funny bone a tickle.
Well, and I went backwards. I went from the big stage to the pizza place. So if that doesn't humble you, nothing will. That's why comics are always humble, man. We're always waiting to get knocked down a peg. But just like musicians, a gig's a gig. So once you commit to it, you take it. And you know what? I gave the people at the pizza place the same show I gave the people at Orion. I didn't mail it in, man. I went up there and I worked my ass off on stage. Well, there wasn't really a stage. I was standing on linoleum, but I still gave them a show.
Yeah, it's funny. So that metal show, speaking of going to that, you guys just wrapped up your 13th season back in April or March, I think. And you guys are taking a break. I think a lot of people would like to know, will there be another season?
Absolutely. We're trying to get something going in the mid fall sometime, but it may be early next year. We'll have to see. But we are definitely picked up for another season. We are definitely doing one. There's lots of new ideas again for things that we can do, which I can't really discuss yet. But yes, our little as Paul Stanley said, our Wayne's World show will continue on, we're all excited. So in the meantime, we're all out touring and doing our thing, and getting to a lot of cities and meeting a lot of great metalheads out there that we don't get to meet when we're doing the show because we're either New York or LA.
And you get to talk to one you get to talk to one like right now, because you are by far a genuine metalhead who loves to go out there and parade for it like I would.
Well, that's true, and another thing that I'm doing, between seasons, I bought a house in New Jersey where I'm from, and I organize about once a month a night of great Jersey metal bands that I go and I host, and I showcase, a lot of my favorite bands from the area, because, I want to support the local scene as well. So that's something that's really important to me, is to, if I can, what little level of D-level fame I have, I want to use to sort of maybe try to help support the local scene too, because if you don't support your local scene, then you're not going to get the next Metallica, you're not going to get the next Big Four out there, they're just going to be, playing in clubs till they're 70, so that's something else that's really an important part of my life, is, trying to help some young bands.
Oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, back in late June, me and my SRO writing buddy, Tyler Griffith, who's a huge fan of the show, by the way, we went to a bar called Loaded in Hollywood to see this group from Colorado called Blindfold the Devil, and while there I got to see other great acts as well, like groups like Varna, Stitched Up Heart, and City of the Week. City of the Week was a really random choice because they are like a proto-punk band mixed in with a little Paramore, and the chick just wailed it like no other. She was like Hayley Williams from Paramore meets Wendy O. Williams meets Heidi Shepard of the Butcher Baby. She just did a phenomenal job, and those are groups I think you should definitely give a listen to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of cities with great music scenes, and so, obviously me being from Jersey, I'm supporting my home state, but yeah, of course, there's great bands everywhere, and, it's a good time for metal now, man, because you see, like, people are really open-minded to different types of metal, you're seeing, a band like Dillinger Escape Plan start to become really big, and meanwhile they used to be just a real niche kind of band, and they're really expanding their fan base. And Max Cavalera's new thing, Killer Be Killed, which is sort of weird and out there, is really gaining a lot of steam. I mean, I think they just sold like 15,000 albums. So yeah, there's all, I think everybody out there who's into this music that we love is real open-minded too to different types of metal and different sort of mixtures and versions of metal, which is great for the whole scene.
Oh yeah, definitely. Going back to that metal show, you, Jim, and Eddie are going to go out in a little while. I don't know if you started yet, but you're going to go out to different kinds of clubs to like promote like certain acts that want to play. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going to go on with that?
Well, yeah, we've been doing this now. We started right after the last season of that metal show ended, and it's basically me, Jim, and Eddie. We go out together, and we go to rock clubs, and we sort of do a loose version of that metal show live on stage. Just Eddie tells, great, funny rock and roll stories at the top of the show, and then Jim and I do our stand-up, and we do some Q&A. We have a guest musician come up and do an interview, like whoever's local in town, who's home that weekend. They'll come up, like we were just in Boston last weekend, so Gary Sharon from Extreme came up and joined us on stage and hung with us, and, we broke balls and hung with him for a little while, and then, we end the night with Stump the Trunk, which, that there's always, there's a line down the road of people wanting to stump Eddie, and we bring a box of junk and everything with us. So, we get out, like I said, we don't get to meet a lot of the metalheads in other parts of the country, so, this is a good way for us to go to them and bring them a little taste of the show, it's sort of like the show, with a little more Jack Daniels and some cursing. But yeah, it's a real fun night out, and we've been all over the U.S. with it. We even went to Mexico City, and where we have a lot of great metalhead fans down there. And so, we're coming out to the West Coast. We're going to do Vegas on the 21st at Vamped, and then we're going to come down and do the Whiskey in Hollywood, and we're going to do the Ramona main stage. So that whole weekend, that weekend in August, like the 20th through the 22nd.
Yeah, me and my friend and my SRO buddy, we are definitely going to try to come to the Whiskey show, because the last taping I was at of that metal show was with Jason Newsted, and Eddie got me on the Stump the Trunk, so I need to be redeemed.
Exactly. No, that's what happens too. Like we went back up we were in Boston. We had been up in Providence, Maine a few months before that, and this guy drove down from Providence 2 hours because he couldn't stump Eddie there, so he drove down to Boston to get him, and I think he got him, so that was cool. So we have a lot of fun with it, man. It's really, really fun. I mean, if people want to know where the dates are, they can get them from my website, donjamieson.com. I have them all listed. The Whiskey show, dude, is going to be just completely out of control. I think Scott Ian's going to come down and do some stand-up, and we got a lot of things, special guests lined up, obviously. We're going to be in Hollywood, so, everybody, who's in town is going to be down there that night, so hopefully we can get you in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, we're going to do a little that metal show segment here, the segment that you guys do. Put it on the table, because I want to learn more about Don Jamieson. So, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, the first metal or hard rock record that you bought with your own money.
All right, bought with my own money was Iron Maiden Killers, but the first one I ever got was Kiss Destroyer that my mom bought me. She was miserable, but thank you, Mom, for doing that, because it's still one of my favorite albums of all time. Yeah.
Mine was, my mom bought me was Van Halen's Best of Volume 1. Was the one with the song Humans Being from the movie Twister. I just heard that song, and that was the first song that ever got me into hard rock. So for that, I thank you, Mom. And I think the first Braille record that I bought with my own money was Metallica's The Black Album.
Nice, man.
Right?
Yeah, see, like you're like the guys from Avenged Sevenfold, man. You grew up on the '90s Metallica, and I'm sure you've obviously gone back and listened to the old school stuff since then. But yeah, that's cool, man. There's, it's like Eddie. A lot of people don't know Eddie first got into Sabbath with Dio, so it's funny where you pick up bands along the way. That's why, like as a kid, Iron Maiden Killers, and I still love those first two Maiden albums. Like I'm still like a Diano fan, because I have those early memories. Like those are the first two albums I heard from Maiden. So it's always interesting to hear where people picked up on a certain band, especially a band like Maiden or Metallica who's had such a long career.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I did go back and listen to Metallica. My favorite Metallica album of all time is Ride the Lightning. No question.
Yeah, you can't argue against that.
No? Okay, if you could be in any band, what band would you be in, and what instrument would you play?
It would have to be Motorhead. That's, Lemmy's like, my hero, like if I didn't already have a great dad, like I'd want Lemmy to adopt me. So I'd play whatever he'd want me to play in the band. I'd be the guy that mixes his Jack and Coke. That's what I would be doing. That's my function on stage. I mix Lemmy's Jack and Coke, and leave making the music up to the pros.
Yeah, I would want to be in either Aerosmith or Foo Fighters playing the bass.
Aerosmith's a great one because you have a job for 40 years. Like they're the only band that's like stayed together for that long, the original band. So that's actually a good move. Pick a band that has a lot of longevity because those guys at this point, they're an old married couple, man. They're never breaking up.
You never know. They got close.
Yeah, but they definitely have a lot of drama, but at the end of the day, man, when they get out there and start playing, it's amazing. And yeah, the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl's gonna, probably die with a guitar in his hand or some instrument in his hand. I mean, that guy is as hardcore as it gets, so.
He won't just die with a guitar in his hand. He'll probably have one buried with him, kind of like Dimebag with the Eddie Van Halen guitar.
Yeah, well, I would say so. I mean, that's like I said, these are guys who are as hardcore as it gets. So I wouldn't doubt it.
All right, your biggest vice.
Biggest vice. Let's see.
And it could be anything.
No, I know. I don't want to give a typical answer though. My biggest vice. I'm a vegetarian. Is that a vice? I think that's a vice. I think I don't eat meat. I don't know. My biggest vice. I guess drink beer. I don't know. I don't have a lot of vices. I'm 47. I've let go of a lot of my vices over the years, so I don't really have any more.
Mine would always have to be junk food because you put a plate full of cookies or a bowl of ice cream in front of me, I will just devour it.
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of become normal in my head. Like, I eat well, I exercise, I don't drink excessively, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, so it's hard for me to come up with a vice. But, yeah, I'm a middle-aged, boring white guy with a house. What can I tell you?
Yeah, we're all eventually going to get to that.
Yeah, I have fun when I go out there. I probably my vice is collecting concert shirts because up until recently I had about between 500 and 600 of them, and there's no reason a man who's 47 years old needs 600 concert shirts. So that's probably my biggest vice.
Yeah, my SRO buddy Tyler does that all the time. Anytime he goes to a show, even if it's a small one, he has to buy a T-shirt so that way he can wear it the next concert he goes to. It's kind of a tradition.
Yeah, but I really don't. I mean, what am I going to do with all these shirts? But I don't know. I love collecting them, and I have them in my house. And I recently gave some away to some veterans and stuff. So that was good. So if you see a bunch of like Vietnam vets walking around with like Slayer shirts and Iron Maiden shirts, you'll know they came from me.
Yeah. First concert you ever attended, what was that?
It was Judas Priest on the Point of Entry tour with Iron Maiden as the opener on the Killers tour. So that was the first one that I saw here in New Jersey. And unbeknownst to me, my future best friends, Jim Florentine and Eddie Trunk, were both at that show as well. But obviously it wasn't until years later that we all realized that we were at the same show together. And what a great way to start out my heavy metal life, by seeing Priest and Maiden on the same show.
Well, mine was July 26, 2005, the Motley Crue Carnival of Sins tour in Irvine.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the first. My friend invited me. I was just starting to get into rock and roll, and he said he got a ticket for Motley Crue. He said if I wanted to go, I said sure, why not? They were up in the lawn in the Irvine Meadows, but I had a great view, and I just remember I didn't like the opening acts because they could have picked some better ones, but overall I thought the group performed spectacularly, and Tommy Lee was just outstanding on the drums, especially when he was flying through the air and playing all these homemade drums. Mick was, despite his illness, was playing like crazy, and it was just, I was just blown away. As they say, I was down the rabbit hole, and I have not been able to crawl out. Thank God.
Yeah, no, that was a great tour. I saw that in New York at the Garden, so I agree, man. They were definitely firing on all cylinders there. And I don't remember who opened, but that's always the key, is to never have an opener better than you.
Yeah, well, I do remember one of the openers was Sum 41, and I thought that was an odd choice.
Yeah.
Because they actually messed up one of their hit songs, the one that was on the American Pie 2. I forget the name of it. It was a good song, but the lead singer said to the crowd, "Oops, I messed up. Let me start over again." They were like halfway through the song. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Come on."
Yeah, they were probably, they're playing in front of this, crowd that's not theirs. They were probably a little nervous, but yeah, that was a great tour, man.
Oh yeah, especially when Tommy Lee said, "Hey, say hi to the booby cam," and that was funny.
Absolutely, man. I think I showed mine.
Oh, that would make sense. That would make sense.
I got excited.
I tried to show mine, but I think I scared away the chicks, so.
Yeah, mine was probably much hairier than most of the chicks.
Alright. Now, with your permission, I would like to do one more of That Metal segment. I want to do a throwdown with you between two of Glenn Hughes' groups that have recently formed.
Okay.
Alright, and I would like, with your permission, to do the introduction for this.
Go ahead.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do ourselves a throwdown between Glenn Hughes' two most recent groups. In one corner, we've got Black Country Communion, which is part Deep Purple, part Led Zeppelin, part Dream Theater, and just all kinds of crazy darkness that we all loved. And in the other corner, we got his newest group, California Breed, which has brought in the new guitar player, Andrew, who is just on fire and brings more energy, more zane to the group. And they are touring right now and getting ready to open for Alter Bridge. Two very great, very distinctive Glenn Hughes groups, but only one will be the true Glenn Hughes group of this new millennium in the throwdown. 2 minutes on the clock, starting now. Don, what's your choice?
Well, look, for me, Glenn Hughes can do no wrong, but if I had to pick one, I have to go with Black Country Communion. They've got 3 albums out. I've seen them live. Obviously, the combination of Bonham and Hughes works no matter what, but I got to go BCC. They got the catalog of songs, and like I said, I've seen them live, and I just thought they were spectacular. So which way are you going?
Well, I love Black Country Communion. I have all 3 albums, Black Country Communion, 2, and Afterglow. They were great albums. I'm surprised Afterglow didn't get enough recognition because it was a great way to end it. But I would have to lean more towards California Breed, because after I heard this first single, Sweet Tea, I was just hooked in. I just love that energy that they were giving off. I mean, this new guitar player that they got, a young session player from New York, he just blew the roof off. His guitar playing just reminded me a lot of Richie Blackmore, a little bit of Eddie Van Halen, minus the tapping, of course, but I just thought the energy was just incredible.
Well, what about now Jason Bonham is out of the band already? So there's already drama in that camp, okay? So that's the problem with California Breed. Are they going to be the same without Bonham? Now they got the guy from I think Eagles of Death Metal, but will he bring the same power and the same energy as Bonham?
That is a good question. I am planning on seeing them in the future, so it'll be definitely something worth looking at. I wasn't actually aware about Bonham leaving the group, so thank you for putting me on to that. But I have.
Yeah.
But then again.
The other thing, now the one thing I'll say about California Breed, which is insane to even say, is that I actually think Glenn's voice, his singing, is actually even better on California Breed, which is crazy considering how great he sang on all the BCC albums. But for whatever reason, I think Glenn's actually stepped it up another notch. For a guy in his early 60s, it's just incredible. And Eddie saw California Breed live in New York and said he sang those songs like they were effortless. So, I mean, at any age in an Eddie group, Glenn Hughes is defying the laws of aging.
Yeah, and, with Bonham out of the picture, I mean, you look at, like, Kill Devil Hill, Vinny Peace, or Appice, however he pronounces his last name, leaves the group and they bring in a new guy, and I think, I still have faith in that group that they can do no wrong. I mean, look at Adrenaline Mob. Mike Portnoy left to go do the Winery Dogs. They bring in AJ Pero from Twisted Sister, and that album just tore. So I have faith that, California Breed is going to bring something to the picture, even with the new player and Joey Costello. So I'm going to definitely keep my eye on them.
All right. Well, we'll agree to disagree, but we'll pick this. When California Breed puts out the third album, we'll pick this up again, and it'll be a little more of a fair fight.
Okay, you got yourself a deal. I mean, I will stick to my guns. Too bad we don't have an audience here, even though they would root for me, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. All right, I got time.
Your territory, you get the home crowd, absolutely, no doubt.
Oh yeah, and I'll definitely get the home crowd when I see you at the Whiskey, for sure.
Cool, man. Well, I
All right.
appreciate the time and everything, man, and just, let me know when this is posted up. We'll promote it, and we'll get it out there, and I'll see you in L.A. soon, man.
All right, I actually want to ask you one more quick question, and it's a good one. Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Oh, Stones. Yeah, I was never a fan of the Beatles. I mean, I know that's where a lot of people, got their, that's where, the bands I love the Beatles, but that's okay. Doesn't mean I have to love them. Stones all the way. Decadent, degenerate, outlaws, absolutely. No hesitation.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, my mom got me into the Beatles, and I love them, but the problem was she didn't really like them when they did Yellow Submarine, when they got all psychedelic, and that was like my favorite period.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's the early stuff. Like, She Loves You, yeah. I mean, come on, give me a break.
Well, hey, you gotta understand, that was like how big rock and roll was back then. Before the Stones came up, we were like, we're gonna be bad boys. You want the good boys? Go with the Beatles.
Yeah, no, if I was a chick in another life, I was into the bad boys, because, Rolling Stones, Motorhead, that's who I like. I like rock stars, rock stars to me are guys who could never do anything else. They don't fit into normal society. So, give me the bad boys any day.
Yeah. Well, hey, Don, thank you very much. And SRO Nation, thank you for tuning in to listen. And be sure to go pick up Don Jamieson's newest comedy release, Hellbent for Laughter. If you love comedy and you love metal, this guy combines them both, and you will not be disappointed. He is out on the road right now promoting it, and he and the guys from That Metal Show will be coming to a city near you to do their own segment of That Metal Show. Even though you're not from LA or New York, you'll still get a taste. So, Don, thank you very much, and I will definitely be looking forward to seeing you again in LA.
You got it, brother. I'll see you soon, man.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks, man.
So, SRO, that is our show, so thank you very much, and be sure to catch this interview and all past interviews from our other writers as well on sromaginc.com. That's sromaginc.com, and we will definitely catch you on the flip side. Horns up, my metal brothers.
For more information on all the greatest bands in rock today, and for all your music and entertainment news, you know where to go. Go to SRO. That's sromaginc.com. SRO Magazine is sponsored by Kick-Ass Cables, PhDRadio.com, Robert's Guitar, TDLMusicGroup.com. The SRO audio and video was done by Carson Drive Studios and SROMagZine.com.